Hello everyone, welcome. Today is another drawing session. Ooh, in my sketchbook. I have out my coffee because it's essential, glasses so I can see, and I have out my cup of pencils that lives on my desk. This is them. These are my drawing pencils and some blending tools that are in here. This is my go-to for sketching. And that's what we're going to use today. Let's get the coffee over. Open this up to a page. Here we are. We are on Ferrets. That's exciting, right? I'll make sure I'm in frame real quick. Perfect. And I think I'd like to start with blue. Okay, I'm just going to jump right in. We're going to draw cute little ferret dudes. It's a little like ovally shape here. I hope everyone's doing well. I woke up about half an hour ago, and I am really just starting my day. So it's an oval, and then their little snout, you got a little triangle cone shape right here, and then you can refine from getting down the basic shape. We got a little neck coming down. I do have couple of reference photos up. I've never drawn ferrets before. Pinterest, Pixabay, Unsplash. There are so many free websites out there nowadays for reference photos. I even have a couple people on Facebook and a couple of let's see, this guy is leaning. So I'm going to put his face here, and I'm going to scoot this one over here a little bit. He's leaning. Oh no. I'm getting the outside shape in. I have to actually consciously think about, right, we moved it over here. So, here. That because I am a lost in the details person, like right out of the gates. Okay. And then a little face. So we have our ovular shape here, like that. And then our ovular shape here for the head, and then that jaw, and then the snout here, like that. Here, kind of straight back. Pretty close to the middle is the eye placement. From there is the ear, and another ear peeking out right here. Yes, yeah. And then this guy's got a little here, and then another little ear. And you'll note I'm not drawing an actual curve. I'm getting in the angle, and then you can soften the corners as you refine to make it more rounded, right? That makes sense, hopefully. And then his snout is right about here. Got the overall schnoz kind of down a little bit. This first drawing is probably going to be very sketchy. This is my loosening up for the day drawing. Yeah, the tops of those ears are pretty even. Eye placement right about here. A little farther apart than you would think. And then kind of oval like this. That's like that. There we go. Okay. Coffee. It is essential. We've got a little placement for that nose. Right up here. Is that far enough down? Yeah. I feel like it is. Little curved fur right here. Kind of goes back like that. And a little hood. I guess these eyes are pretty round. That. Don't forget to leave eye shine. When I was first starting to draw, I did not know there was eye shine. The eyes are wet. Eyes are wet, and you need to leave a little shine. It doesn't need to be the white of the paper either. It can just be lighter. You definitely want it in there. Well, first drawing of the day. This is looking a little rough. A little bit of shadow there. A little snout. Little. There we go. That, not too frowny, more inquisitive than sad. A little up tilt there, that helps with that. Then we got the nose right here. There. Like that, and this is I'm getting lost in details. I'm just gonna shade this part in gently from here, there. This is my color erase blue pencil, and as you can see, that little eraser on the tip of the pencil sucks. It usually mars my paper and makes me feel frustrated. This is a kneaded eraser. I also, oopsie, mess. Need to be able to get my drawer here. I have several of these guys, which you can see I use a pretty good amount of this one. There we go. This is good for the sketchbook because sometimes the kneaded eraser is more for picking up less stubborn mark making tools. This is a good one for the sketchbook. It's just a plastic eraser. Oh, the dreaded word plastic, or no? What are they doing? Let's come in here and get in a little bit of darker shading through here. Put that little face in, and then underneath is that chin. Chin fur. And then here, something like that, and around. They're very fuzzy little critters, so crisp lines kind of aren't necessary. Like that. Right about here is where the color shifts. Put his other eye in. There. Not forgetting the eye shine. Sometimes I forget the eye shine, and later I can't figure out why my drawing looks weird. And that's the reason why usually, because I've gotten carried away and not put in that eye shine. So putting in the dark spots where there's shadow on the fur with just a few loose lines. That. Just to give him some definition and shape. I'm going to shape him out a little bit. That. Especially in the face. I usually try to get the face down pretty good. And then the ears are kind of essential. There's a little glowy rim around those ears. See how that makes it? Just makes all the difference in the world. And then we got a little shading. It's pretty translucent. Lighten that up a little bit. And then fur. Through here. Fuzziness. Just fill that in. Quickly like that. Attempting to remember that I'm working in a sketchbook. There we go. This section was just a bit wide. And to make it look like the fur's melding, I like to draw into, like that, the white, instead of trying to draw out. It's just easier, I think, to give, see this edge here? We can just pull in like that. And then you can decide where there's more white, and you can soften that edge, make it look a little more natural. And the same thing over here. Just soften that out. Cute, cute. Little cheeks. Do little upward sweeping C's right there. And then out. Back, out, back. I had ferrets when the kids were little. We had 2 of them. Crazy little things. Every time I think I want a ferret too, I go to the pet store and I put my face over the cage and take a big whiff. Because they have a unique scent for sure. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, never mind. just never mind. Oh, cutie pies. You sweet little cutie pies. They're funny. They're cute little creatures. Just, in my opinion, not something I would like to have as a pet again. The only reason I would have them for a pet again would be because I rescued them from somebody, or, you know, the kids came home with them. That is the only reason I would be like, oh crap. Here we go. They're fun little animals though. They do need a lot of, well, most pets do need a lot of care. Not too much though. They sleep a lot. But when they're busy, man, they are busy. All right, this little guy kind of is sniffing up on this little guy. So we're gonna tuck him behind this ear. Get a little muscle in. That's way too far back. Alright, let's block this in a little better. The eyebrow, got the little forehead. Kind of sweeps down a little bit like that. And then we got a little bit of this happening. And then there's the fur back here. Just a squiggly line. Okay. And I don't want to miss that little rim of it. So there's 2 little sections, kind of like on a cat's ear. If you look closely on a cat's ear, they have that the upper section, and then out here there's another little C shape. These have that too. Most? Do I want to say most? I'm not going to say most, at any rate. That's what's going on here. But there's also that little rim of white on it, so I don't want to miss that. And there's a rim of light here, so I don't want to miss that. And this one's nice and dark because it's back behind. So just scribble that in, like so. Perfect. And then let's get in a little softness of this one. And it's kind of blending into the face fur gently. Don't forget about that light rim right there. And then this little flappy thing is back behind. Like so, and then into the fur. And then this fur is going down like that. Ta-da! And that's the back of that head. And then I think I'm holding on to my pencil too hard. I did that last time I was drawing as well. Oh my god. Furry face. Through here. Scritchy scratch that in. Scritchy scratch. Very technical terminology going on there. And then this actually, that's way too big. That's a ginormous head. Kind of right through there, the fluffy fur. And then it's very close to this ear, like that. Oh no, that's better. They do have tiny little heads, but fluffy fur. And weirdly, I can visualize the skull underneath here. So there's that information. Little shape here, and then it comes out here. Oh, going line direction, guys, line direction. And the shadow at the same time together will give you form. Like that. And then little darker marks over the top of the shading to convey fur. And comes around that lovely little eye. And I feel like their eyes are a little lost, so black, indigo. Is that going to be darker? Oops. What a mess. It is. Okay, cool. Eyes are so fun to draw. I feel like once I have the eye in, that I've really nailed it, you know? Even if the rest of the drawing is crapola, I still feel like I did an okay job, you know? You know? I just need to make them a little more bold. The eyes. The eyes. This is sharpened way too much. This one's like, what you doing? Did you bring us snacks? What, no snacks? Maybe you should go get us some snacks. I haven't eaten yet today. I'm just on coffee right now. It's okay. I'm going to eat after I draw for a while. I have my oatmeal. I'm having oatmeal this morning. See? Perfect. Okay. This is a Prismacolor indigo. Blue indigo PC 901 if anyone's interested. It's a perfect blue. That one, and then I have a bunch of this Crimson Lake color that I also love to sketch with together. They go really nicely together. I think, in my humble opinion. I actually saw someone else using these colors in their sketchbook, and I was like, oh, that looks really nice together. I want to do that. So here I am. I went to Michael's craft store. Pretty sure I was at Michael's. Could have been at Hobby Lobby. Does Hobby Lobby have? I don't think Hobby Lobby has pencils. At least not very much. I must have been at Michael's craft store. It's the... Right now, it's the only craft store besides Hobby Lobby that I know of that's close by. Joann Fabrics closed, so they're no longer around. Cut this up a little. I'm gonna erase some of these busy lines right here. Let's make that look a little more natural. There we go. And then his little muzzle. The color erase pencil is not as bold as I like. I really like the indigo for sketching, but we're already in it, so here we are. There. Got a little bit of wiggle there. And there's a little bit of wiggle here. This is white through here. I'm really conveying that very well with my sketch lines in there. There we go. Pop that back in, pop that back in. It's white through here, so leave that. And then from here, the white kind of just inside the ear. Down. He's got his little forearm over here. A little bit of shadow going on down here. Don't get it too bold. And then the rest of his little fuzzy self stops there. And then the back here. That is fur. And there's a little log right here, so we'll just do that. And I'm just going to let it kind of stop right there. Okay. Like that. Super quick cross hatching going on right here. Super quick. Just to fill in the space. There we go. Cute, cute. I'd like this spot to be a little more. This is that indigo again. And here's where I go from sketching to actual drawing without realizing that's what I'm doing. And I end up lost in details and making the piece a finished, a more finished piece when I don't really need to. Underneath here. I don't want to forget that shadow underneath here. It is white, but there are many shadows within white. White is never white. That's something I learned over the years, is white is never white. And I have to remind myself of that pretty regularly. It's always reflecting some other color, and especially in furs, there's always, when you're looking at anything, instead of looking at the white as white, look at it as a shape and what colors or shadows or values are in there, pushing and pulling them. And that'll help out a lot. There we go. Cute. I dig it. I haven't drawn ferrets, I don't think, ever. Our ferrets were just little brown dudes. They were super cute. I'm gonna go ahead and pop in a little bit of red right here. Feeling it. Just skim. Skim, skim. Around that eye. go. Cute. Skim some in right here. See, with just 2 colors, you could do quite a lot. Cute. I think it. Alright, let's draw. Let's do another one. Let's see. I want to draw on this side now. We have a little ferret. This is the indigo now. He's got a little ball. This is, or an egg or something. He's playing with something here. And then his little shape is, he looks like a bean kind of laying down on his side here. There's a little paw here, and there's a little paw with his tiny little finger. They do have little phalanges too, which I, depending on the person, creepy or adorable. So he is playing with his little ball. This is just going to be a quick sketch. Blocking in. I really need to practice my blocking in and quick sketching. His bottom. And then he's got a little foot. It's pretty much touching. Well, it's not touching, it's hovering, but that's fine. Kind of like a cat, you know? There's a little shape here. Comes to here. And disappears into that flank, into that bottom tail. His other little paw is kind of underneath the ball. Got this going on. Just get that colored in. See how that indigo makes, I mean, drawing with the color erases are really nice, but man, an actual colored pencil, where you can get a lot of line weight in. So there's a little bean here. There's a little ankle area here going up into his little self up here. Okay. Let's get this shaded in a bit. Loosely. Just loosely, and this actually goes all the way back to there. It's pretty long, like a rabbit. And then up like that. And could make it a little larger. There we go. There. And then here. And and they're fuzzy little critters, so it doesn't need to be exact. There. And then let's see. Here. Around. So cute. Can't even stand it. Little side right there. Like that. A little bit of a bump here. A little bit of a bump there. Here a bump, there a bump, everywhere a bump, bump. And then let's get in this ball shape that he's playing with. A little more firm. Like that. Just a little shadow here of that foot hovering over the top. And then his little self here. Here's his little fingers. Looking very rodent-like the little digits are. And I like drawing mice. I actually really like drawing rodents. I'm not sure why. There's another little finger here. There's another little finger here. And they have little tips on them. There. There. Like that. And his other little finger kind of disappears behind. There. Okay. And here, kind of Stitch, reminding me of Stitch. There's little digits. If that's makes it less creepy for anyone else drawing along. There. And this little digit is here. And then the little thumb digit's right about there. I need my eraser to get this arch right here. There we go. There we go. And then fur. Through there. Cute. And there are little digits through here. We'll just do that. Perfect. That. And then, let's see. He's just playing. So I've got the little pink mouth right here. Like that. Disappears into that white fur. And then the nose. Here. Little soft V, and then fur, and fur. I mean, the whole thing's furry, but it's darker color is there. And then here is right through here. His little ears mushed into the floor, top of its head. Top of that nose, a little bit of fur. There we go, like that. And then one little eye, which we can barely see. We definitely want to put it in, like that. And then fur, cheek. So the cheek is right here. Scribble that in, and ear is here. So it goes up a little, over a little, across a little, and down. And then you can soften that edge. And then we want to fill it in. And I'll leave a little white space though to differentiate that it's a little ear. You can hardly tell because he's looking that way, right? So everything's kind of munched together like that. And he is playing on the floor like this. You know what I almost forgot? His silly little tail, which is right here. It's kind of coming out here, 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 and here, down here. It's following this, and it's switching in right here. There it is. There's his cute little tail. And it's very much darker on this end. So it's got a little black tipped tail. So we'll do that. Color this in like that. Cute. He's adorable. Playing with his little ball, so sweet. And we can put in some shadows. Make him look a little furry. Just some squiggles, doesn't need to be anything crazy. There is a deep shadow here where his haunches are meeting that ball. There. There we go. Cute. He's having a grand time, you guys. He's having a grand time. A little shadow under that tail where it's touching the floor. We'll just pull that out like this so that it looks like he's on the surface and he's not just like floating in space, right? Cute. He's adorable. La la la. Gently get in some color. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little dabble to ya. Da 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 da. Do do do. There we go. A little bit on that tail. Perfection. He's gorgeous. Or she. Could be a little girl. Who knows? Who knows? Blending tool. Oh, by the way, a blending tool will, as it states, blend and move pigment around. So, if you're looking for a smoother application, you might want to put in a smoother application. And it's little circles, little circles, little circles. Will give you a smooth application. Didn't mean for that to get brighter like that. That's alright. This is the Derwent, I broke it, the Derwent Full Blender Bright by Caran d'Ache. I'm sorry, it's not Derwent, it's Caran d'Ache. And this is my favorite blending tool for colored pencil. My favorite. I've tried a lot of different things. My second on the list, if you're using the right paper, is Moz. This right here. Oh, Melts. This is Holbein Colored Pencil Blender. You put this in a little jar, a tiny jar, with throw in 3 or 4 cotton balls and put this on just enough to wet your cotton balls and apply with a brush, and it will blend your colors really, really nicely. I would recommend trying it out for your very first time on a piece that you love, but maybe make some marks in a sketchbook on decent paper and play around with it with the different blending tools and see what you do and don't like. This is very soft because there's lots of pages, so it's not a hard surface, so I'm not getting that smooth blend like I like. Plus I haven't used colored pencil blender in I don't know, a couple of years. This is a white charcoal pencil. I don't think it's gonna go over that colored pencil. Nope. What I was looking for was, my colored pencils are up here, thankfully. That is not a white color. Where are my white colored pencils? There's one. Prismacolor is my white colored pencil go-to. Got too much blue on here, that's fine. I was wanting this to read more as a ball, but that's alright. It's okay, it's fine, it's totally fine. I do want to soften that back out though. The color. Push it back a little bit. So it goes more with what I have going on here. There we go. These little digits. Alright, let's stop messing with it. Cute. He's adorable. Alright, should we do one more? I feel like we could fit a bunch, like, of little drawings, but I don't really want to do that. Oopsie. There we go. Let's do this guy, and then we'll be done. I'm going to put him right here. Right here. Top of that head. About this wide. Like so. Boop, boop. Ear placement. Up. And up and down. There's a slight triangle shape. Slight. And then down like that. And then up. Symmetry is difficult. Here. Here. And it doesn't have to be super perfect because it is a wild animal and their ears move back and forth independent of each other sometimes, so you don't have to be too crazy worried. There's a little triangle here and there's a little triangle here. Kind of, I made it a full triangle. I didn't want to do that. So kind of at the top it kind of curves in a bit like that. There we go. There we go. That's better. All right. And then there's that little white rim, remember? From the last one. We can soften that edge. Put in that little white rim. Through there. It helps make it feel right. And then the top of the head is right here. Like that. Side of the little jowl area. Right there. Right there. Good. Okay. And then here. And the ears, eyes, and then to the nose is what I'm looking at. Because of the way I started, I usually start my drawings with the ear, or the eyes. So we've got a little bit of this happening, coming down. Eye placement here. Is that wide enough? Yeah. Here. Okay. And then around and around. And then you can refine later, just basic placement. There. Okay. Do a little darkness there. Darkness there. That helps give form. And then around and around. Goes out to the ears. Up, 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 up. Out, 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 out. Out, out, out. A little draw a line in. There's a little chin right here. Cute. like that. Nose. Right about here. Cute little triangulate top. There's a little patch of white fur right there. There. This little calic. Oh. There's the train. Little jowls. Alright. This I feel like might be a little low. You know what I'm back into too is my color erase pencil, which is not what I wanted to draw this with. So let's trade it out. Go over my lines a little bit. That there. And then, yeah, right? Chin, little jowl right there. Little chin. There. It's a little, kind of like a cat. I do draw cats kind of a lot, which is odd for me in my mind. I'm not sure why. And then it comes up around like this, up like that. Is that right? Yeah. And there's no delineation here. Goes around like that. And like that. Yeah, okay. Got his little nostrils. He's got two little tiny nostrils. Let's get those eyes in. He's looking angry. I didn't mean to make him look angry. If you soften that upper lid a little bit, he will look a little less furious. There we go. Eye in. Little underneath. Darker right through there. The tip of my pencil went away. And over here we got the same thing happening. Lighting is different, so you're going to see different stuff. Because of course this side of his little body's in shadow. Not a lot of shadow, but enough that it makes a difference. There we go. His little eyes, and he does look fierce, doesn't he? He's like, "What are you doing? How dare you come into my area? Do you have snacks? Do you have snacks?" Round like that. Round like that. Back. Through there. Getting lost in details again. They do have little whiskers too, which I totally missed. They have little whiskers like cats do. And mouses and other rodent-like creatures. Cute. That lends a little cuteness to it, doesn't it? The little whiskers. I think so. Let's put them in. I do that with my cat drawings too. I totally forget that there are whiskers. There we go. Cute. See, his whiskers are smunched down to the floor on this side. Cute. All right. Back to it. Let's figure out this nose really quickly. If you hear children playing, there's something going on at the school again. They were pretty loud yesterday. Out there playing around like crazy lunatics. Summer's almost over, right? Getting to that point where school's gonna start again. All the animals are gonna be outside all the time. And they have a covered area at the school as well, so even when it's raining, the kids can get outside and play. Not when it's like super windy and stormy, but when it's raining, they can go in the covered area and get some fresh air still. Okay. Finish up this nose situation. There we go. It's a little better. It's not perfect, but it is better. Better. And he's got little whisker dots. Need to be perfect. Okay, let's finish up his little self here. Hooligans. They're all a bunch of hooligans. There we go. He's got a shoulder here, and then this little paw down. Wispy self on the side, his shoulders here. So we're going to make sure that fur goes out far enough. And down. Little tummy. He's very cat-esque. Although his paws are different, there's a little sweeping action happening down here. And then his little tummy, and then his little haunches here. Haunches. This little forearm, it's white through there. Then we get dark through there. Like that. I just remembered I'm sketching. I'm alright. I got this. Just block it in. Like that. See how quick that finishes when you're just sketching? And then you can go in and refine where you want. I like drawing fur and fabric because there's so much going on. And in the foreground here is a rock or something. He's sitting on a little rock. I don't want him floating in space, right? Or do we? Maybe he's a space ferret. They already have a space rocket, right? Rocket raccoon. Why not a space ferret? Why not? As you can tell, I really don't feel like drawing the feet. I'm just gonna pop them in like that. Remember drawing into the white like that. Don't forget your shadowy areas. Because where those little legs meet that darkness there. Gotta get in the gist of the little feet. I'm not gonna be able to get away from it. I'm not together sure why I'm trying not to draw the feet. And then here. Whoa, whoops, just dropped my pencil. Getting crazy, getting carried away. Haunch. Through there. A little dark there. There we go. I think he's pretty cute. And here's where refining comes in. Here's where if you really wanted to make this something finished, you would start getting in here and really getting in the correct shapes, and here's where you can push and pull a lot. Get in some nice shading and start giving some good form, right? A little bit of shadowing going on. Some darker lines so that this looks like fur. And then this is the little bit of shadowing in the ear. Like that. And here's where it gets fun for me, is making him look a little more realistic. But that's not what this is about, right? This is about sketching. So here. I'm leaning back a little bit and seeing where I would want to make it a little less a little bit of pink right here, and a little bit of pink on that nose and those ears. Cute. Okay, it got a little dark. I was shooting for pink, not red. That white colored pencil to push back. That cute. All right. I liked what was going on up there with the blue. So I'll put a little bit of white color. That made him look a little evil. Again with that push and pull, right? There we go. That's a little less evil. Not by much, but by enough. There we go. That's a little less terrible. Okay. How long have we been drawing, you guys? Should I stop here? Oh yeah, we're gonna stop there. All right, so more of a drawing session than a sketching session, but there we go. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Here's our little close-up of our dudes. And all the different lines and textures, colors. This guy. Cute. What do you think of this little spread? We could put a couple more, one more down here. Maybe in the next sketch session we'll finish up this and then move on to the next page. All right, thanks for being here and hanging out. I'll see you later. Bye. Bye.